Welcome to The Couch, a retrospective review of theater here in the Chattanooga area. I'm your host, Garry Posey, and along with a rotating group of my peers and other theater professionals, we will be walking you through some of our experiences attending live theater in the Chattanooga area. You know, when I was in high school and just getting involved in the theater world, I thought everything I saw was amazing. Then I went to college and studied it. Then I went out in the world and experienced it. Then I went to graduate school and cemented my dogma. Then I came back to where it all started and became a producer. All of that made me watching theater very difficult. Even the shows I directed were difficult to watch. I was too critical and too vulnerable. So what's changed? Well, one of my missions with the Ensemble Theater at Chattanooga has always been to make the audience have greater expectations for their theater experiences, to influence us artists to push the envelope on subject matter, to engage your imaginations, to make you want to continue talking about your experience over coffee at the breakfast table the next morning, to be unforgettable. Now, it might be presumptuous of me to think that theater patrons in the Chattanooga area want something more than they are currently experiencing, but I'll take that risk. So with that being said, let's get reviewing.
All sniffly, welcome to this version of The Couch where we're all a little sniffly. Backstage at the Barking Legs Theater, which just happens to be where the show that we saw, that we were reviewing today, was filmed. We're not filming, I was just practicing.
Okay, I was about to be like, crap, Gary.
Welcome to the fourth episode of The Couch. It's the fourth episode unless we put in another episode, which we might do today, depending on how okay. Hi! Welcome to the fourth episode of The Couch. We are backstage at the Barking Legs Theater, which is our home away from home.
Yes.
And just happens to be the place where the venue where we saw the show that we're going to review today, which is...
it is, isn't it?
Yeah. We might even be sitting on the same couch that they used in the show.
That's possible.
That's kind of,
It's marvelously uncomfortable.
Sorry. We're both a little sniffly. It's the weather changing. Thank goodness summer is over and we finally hit, I don't know, winter? We skipped fall, I think, altogether. Okay. Anyway, so we're going to talk about Red by Jonathan Logan, right?
I believe so.
Yeah. Red will obviously fact check us like he does.
Yeah, please fact check us.
And produced by Tiger Leap Productions out of Cleveland. So basically they came down to Chattanooga to do this production, and we're so glad that they did because we get to see it.
Yes, this is a show that I absolutely adored the first time I read it, and I've always wanted to either produce it or see it up on its feet. So I was really excited to be able to view this production.
Yeah, and it's a very ETC production. Not that that means anything, but it's intimate, so it's something that we really understand. It's two people, cast of two. It's based on Rothko, the artist Rothko, and an assistant of his. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what the premise of the play is?
The artist Rothko has brought in an assistant, and essentially the show explores their relationship, both the dynamics that they bring into it, their approach to art, their understanding of life. What I enjoy about the show, it has wonderful peaks and valleys as far as an emotional roller coaster. You laugh, you hurt. It's really enjoyable to watch these two gentlemen kind of navigate a dynamic, two artists of differing viewpoints, trying to navigate working together, essentially.
Yeah, and also it's around the time, or it deals with when Rothko was commissioned to paint a series of paintings that would go up in
the Four Seasons
restaurant in New York.
Yeah.
And so there was this, it's almost like he felt like he was being a sellout while trying to sort of combat the establishment, and so it's kind of an interesting thing because it really takes a look at what as artists, well, we have to make a living. And if we have to make a living doing what we do, then sometimes we have to step outside of what is our box or our milieu or whatever it is we're trying to do, just so that we can get the work. But what was fascinating was that Rothko did that, but he was trying to break down the barriers of that commercial expectation, maybe.
Yeah.
With what he was doing, he was trying to make some kind of very broad statement about how people view art.
Absolutely, I agree.
And so that being the premise of the play from the playwright's perspective, I thought was really unique. And then to juxtapose that with the dynamic relationship of two artists of different generations, trying to understand and respect and admire each other,
different philosophies.
Yeah. I thought it's a script ripe with possibility.
Yes, so. Yeah, I agree. So as far as the production goes, Garry, what did you feel was the strong point that the production provided, and what did you think might have used a little bolstering? I use that word, bolstering.
Bolstering. I thought you said bolstering, and I was like, I don't know what a bolstering is.
It's a new term, a bolstering.
I don't know. Red will have to fact check bolsterings for us. I don't know if there's any appropriateness for theater, but anyway. What I liked, there was, I feel like the relationship between the two actors, the one playing Rothko and the one playing the assistant, I really liked that they were different artists of theater. From different generations.
Good point.
So it's like that they were able to, the inspiration that they were able to draw from who they were in their real life really helped to develop the relationship on stage. And I thought that was the strongest thing. And really plays are about relationships. That's key. And so I thought the strongest thing was the relationship between those two individuals.
That's good. I think I actually would probably agree with you. Because that dynamic was very solid.
Yeah. It was. Individually, I don't know that they I don't know that they survived as well as they did as a unit. Yeah. Oh. If I look at each of them individually, I think that there might have been different choices or different directions I would take them as a director or even as an actor. And of course, that doesn't mean anything other than that's just my approach, which is for what it's worth.
Sure.
But putting them together, that was a nice match.
Nice. Yeah.
So
I would agree with that.
For me, the things that really kind of I guess fell short were just the production elements. And again, if you're focusing on the relationship, which is one of the focuses of the play, the production elements don't have to be that grand.
Absolutely.
Do you know what I'm saying? But there's the element of design, the whole theory behind the element of design is that it helps complement the story.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't complement the story, then sometimes it detracts from the story.
Yes, it becomes distracting.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I felt like in this production that might have been one of the weaknesses for me.
Okay.
Was I like even the lighting, the darkness moments weren't dark enough. The brightness moments weren't bright enough. It was hard to believe what they were saying in the script. Turn the lights off, turn the lights off.
Yes, I had the same experience.
Yeah, it was in one place, and then it seemed like the actors weren't familiar enough with the space to own the space.
Gotcha.
If this is Rothko's studio, then he would know where everything was. And it seemed like there were moments where he wasn't really sure of where things were.
Gotcha.
Right?
Yes, I agree with that.
So, yeah.
And this can be a tricky venue anyway as far as lighting goes. We've certainly run into that before. But I did have that same experience where maybe the dialogue wasn't necessarily matching up with the acting. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I love this script. I just think it's rife with possibility, as you said. And there were times I felt like the words in the script were holding more passion than the performance was. That is a really subjective statement to make. I do understand that, but that was my experience of some of it.
Right.
It could have been opening nights.
Oh, that's right. We did see it on opening night, and I think that.
And it was a packed house. It was awesome.
Yeah, it was great to see.
Yeah.
A lot of people here.
Loved that.
A lot of support, and you know, it's that's. I'm glad you brought up that it was opening night, because you know, one thing, you know, that as an audience member and as an artist, actually, that you have to think about is that the filter of which the audience is seeing the show. You don't know what happened to that person that day.
Absolutely.
Or if it's opening night. So there's lots of different things that affect the liveness of theater. And I think that that's just really important to think about.
Yeah.
You know,
it's one of the things I love about it, because we could have returned the next night or on closing night and had a completely different experience.
Right.
And I love that about theater.
Yeah, and it really wasn't a bad experience. You know, there was no intermission, so it's like a 90-minute right to the end.
Yeah.
And, you know, it kept your... I certainly was riveted enough to stay into the show, into the play. The performances, like I said, you know, I felt like there could have been a little bit more passion as well.
Yeah.
It seemed like what the script was saying was not matching what was on stage.
Yeah.
Whether that's design or performance or direction.
Yep.
You know, so again, that dichotomy, that sort of disparation, what am I trying to say?
Incongruency is the only thing I can.
Incongruency is a good. Yeah, I don't know what the disparation means. Please look
like
that
that
up,
word.
right?
Yeah.
But yeah, the incongruity between those two things kind of kept me thinking as opposed to engaging. You know,
and evaluating.
You
Yeah.
know.
I think I had a similar experience. Honestly.
Yeah, you know, and I guess there's one other thing. You know, we've talked about conventions before, and I feel like, you know, and again, I don't want to be hypocritical here, because I'm guilty of this as well, but everything that we see on the stage has to help tell the story.
Yeah.
Even set changes, if they happen within the play and it's not an intermission. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And in this instance, you know, there were changes in the set that happened by the actors, but it didn't seem like the actors remained the characters.
Interesting.
You know, and so what ends up happening for me as an audience member is it's very Brechtian almost, you know.
Brechtian theater, also known as epic drama, is a style of theater developed by German poet and playwright Bertolt Brecht, where the story is presented as a series of loosely connected scenes with the intention of preventing the audience from developing an emotional connection to the story and characters. The purpose of Brechtian style is to encourage objective reflection of the message within the production, oftentimes being political or societal in nature. A common Brechtian technique is breaking the fourth wall, where the actor will speak through the proverbial wall separating the stage and audience and address the audience directly.
And the fact that we see the actor doing the actor things, which helps us realize that it's a play that we're watching and not real life.
Yes.
Which is a very Brechtian ideal. But then at the same time, it pulls me out because nothing else about the production is Brechtian. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Which would... I got someone showing up to audition, but I can't answer the phone. No, Red, here, just catch the phone and answer it. Okay.
Or let the...
Oh my god, I think I might have just broken my phone!
Broken my phone!
Oh my god, he has to cut all that out.
I hope so. I didn't even say words just now.
I know. Yes, anyway, so, so I felt like, you know, if you're going to do a Brechtian style, then let me rephrase that. That's me rationalizing what happened as a Brechtian style.
Gotcha.
That did not fit with the rest of the production.
That was a required filter you were putting on in order to accept something when that was not consistent with the rest of the production.
Which again is part of what what an audience might do is, when we see something that doesn't make sense, we might try to make sense of it.
Yes.
And if it's easy to make sense of it, then we can stay engaged. Yes. When it's not easy, then we have what's sometimes referred to as roll distance.
Well, and I did have that. I don't know if you had this experience. There was a moment in the, it was a few moments where the character of Rothko would reference a painting in particular. And the two actors interact with this painting at different intervals, and neither of them had the same agreeable point.
Right.
They both were looking at different places referencing the same painting. Now, it could be the breadth of this painting was
right.
Could have been epic, but
true. And they were referencing different points in the painting.
Right, could have been that, but that was something that same kind of thing I did find distracting. Suddenly then I would have roll distance of like, did you guys agree on, okay, we're gonna look at the second brick on the, to both have a uniformity and an understanding of this layout of the space.
Right.
And then you brought up stage business. There was a moment where they were painting a canvas together where I would have enjoyed seeing a greater contrast in how the two artists painted that canvas. Do you remember that moment?
Yeah. No, that's a good point. And my thing about, one of the beauties of theater is that it grew out of ritual. And so a lot of things that we see on stage, a lot of business that happens on stage is ritualistic behavior.
That's good.
Because we recognize it because it's ritualistic. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think Rothko painting a canvas, priming a canvas as it were, is something for him that is a very, and it's kind of alluded to in the script, is a very specific process.
Yes.
It's a very ritualistic process for him. And going into that, I didn't get the sense of his import to priming the canvas.
Yes.
And if, and his assistant may not have found that as important, and so we really could have developed some kind of dichotomy between the two of them even further than what they had already successfully done performance-wise. So that moment of priming the canvas, I really felt was a little bit underserved, rushed.
Yes.
It seemed like it was just like, we got to get this done because it's in the script. And for me, I think that I would have taken that moment and really kind of used it to develop, a sense of difference between the two of them.
Well, in a sense, I like that
or sense of ritual.
Yeah, different flavors of ritual, where one with a deeper, richer history of his career is going to approach that ritual so much different than a new artist hitting the scene. And I did find the pacing of the show interesting. There were moments I wish they had stretched it out, and moments I wish they had sped it up. But overall, I wasn't super frustrated with the pacing. It was decent pacing for and
again, standing ovation at the end of the show.
Yes, I mean, very responsive audience. It's always fun to see a show where it's a packed house and the energy in the audience is really great, and that was definitely present.
Yeah, it sure was, and I really enjoyed that, being a part of an audience that was that responsive to it.
Yes.
And then really, like, they were really engaged. I mean, I remember catching myself looking around during the show, because Barking Legs is such a theater where you can do that, where you can see the audience beside you, and going, okay, they're getting it, they're there, and that was kind of cool. I really enjoyed that. So I don't know what's up next for Tiger Leap. It was kind of a new venture for them, just kind of popped out of the blue that we got, and I really hope that they do some more stuff, because
it was good work.
Well, it was good work, and it's good to have, new blood in town, as it were. So I really hope that they come back and do something, and if you're watching and you do Tiger Leap, come back and do something, please let us know. We'd love to promote it for you and come enjoy and partake of your theatrical endeavors.
Yeah.
Next episode coming up on the couch is going to be, and I am going to butcher this title, and please forgive me.
I'm so excited.
Revolt, she said. Revolt again. Revolt, she said. Revolt. I know that's it's something like that, and I apologize to the playwright who I can't think of right now, but Red will throw up onto the screen when...
Don't throw up, Red.
Don't throw up. Red will put onto the screen and let you know. And Casey will be back with me to discuss that, and then ETC has the Kiss for Cinderella that opened, so we'll be having a guest host, probably with Christy, to review that one. I won't be around for that because I directed the show, so now people get to take it apart and pick at me, which is fine. You know, I guess if I can dish it out, I should be able to take it, right?
That's right.
And I will. I want what I hope that these episodes of The Couch, you know, one of the goals that I hope that they achieve is that it holds all of us artists to a greater standard, myself included. I just want to do better. I want to be the best artist that I can be, and I want to produce the best theater that I can produce, and people telling me where I can do that is more a blessing than it is a curse for me.
Absolutely,
so, yeah. Is that a good thing to say?
I think that's a good thing.
Okay. Anyway, so yeah, if you have any, if you want us to come see something, let us know.
Absolutely.
We'll happily come and support your endeavors, and otherwise just keep keep on watching us, and click. You can subscribe to the YouTube channel so you can just get updates when these come out, which hopefully will be weekly. Does require us to get on our game with scheduling, which we're not really good at.
We're growing. We're learning.
We're getting better, you know. So, but yeah, please subscribe so that you can see us, and get out and see some theater. It doesn't have to be ETC. It can be any theater. We want you to see theater and enjoy it. We only get better by you telling us how to do it. So, all right, have a good night.
I just want you guys to remember, don't let our compliments inflate your head, and don't you dare let our criticisms deflate your heart. Keep creating.